Thank you very, very much, each one of you, for being here today. It's really amazing to see ourselves and not on Zoom, to see people and not little squares. My name is Carolina Echeverria, and I serve as the chair of Development Committee of the Chicana Latina Foundation. Our executive director, Adriana Ayala, couldn't be with us today, so I am trying to replace a little piece of her by being your MC, so thank you. Since 1977, the Chicana Latina Foundation has provided scholarships and leadership development to college students in Northern California. And I'm sure you know a lot about our history, and you've been involved with us for many years. And now, I would like to introduce Lupe Gallegos. She is the CLF's chair of the board of directors. I'm taking the mic. Part of my service.
Gracias, Carolina. Y buenas tardes, y me da mucho gusto verlos a todos. Thank you all for being today, to be here today with us. It's wonderful, actually, the actual place we're on. This is amazing that we're actually celebrating the Mexican heritage at the plaza. San Jose itself has so much history. So I just wanted to put a shout out to everybody who actually made this happen for this space to be what it is today. Thank you for all of our board members for being here. And again, I would ask now Olga Talamante to the podium, who is currently our vice chair of the Chicana Latina Foundation, and as you all know, has served as the first director of the Chicana Latina Foundation. Muchas gracias.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Olga. It's such a pleasure to be here today. I was asked to say a few words about one of our honorees today, which is Herman Gallegos, and I'm so happy to have been asked to do that. But I wanted to just start by acknowledging a couple people that are here with me today. I'm so pleased to be joined by my father, emeritus trustee and founder of the Castellano Family Foundation. Thank you, Dad. And also, we're honored with the presence of another trustee of the foundation, my sister, Maria West. Thank you for being here, the treasurer of our foundation. Really pleased to have you joined by her husband, Jeff West. So thank you for being here. And really, thank you, everybody. This is such an amazing event, such an amazing opportunity. And I'm so pleased to be able to speak to Herman. Because what I want to say about Herman, just like my mom, Herman is a treasure. Herman is a treasure to our community for his amazing accomplishments, which we're going to hear about when he's introduced for this award. And his accomplishments are many and important that we honor them. But I just want to tell you a little story about Herman and the impact and influence he's had on my family and on my parents, because I've heard about Herman for a long time, and a lot of it principally through my parents. And this is because when my parents won the lottery over 20 years ago, and I'm sure many of you have heard the story, that my mother was busy writing down things right away when they were talking about just having won the lotto. My dad didn't know what she was writing down, so he asked her, and it turned out she was writing down the names of all the organizations that they were going to be able to help when they started the foundation. So this was her idea out the gate from the morning she found out that she won the lottery. That was my mother's vision. And so she certainly was committed to making that happen. But how to go about doing that? And she did want to consult, because my mother is very meticulous and likes to do things right, and so she was going to form this foundation. She was going to get advice from the best possible person to help her understand what her options were. And so that person that she chose and my parents chose to consult with was Mr. Herman Gallegos. And my dad confirmed for me this morning that he was pretty much the only person that they consulted with. Because, you know, pretty much they had decided that they were going to do, but they needed advice on how to go about doing it and what the best options were. And Herman is and has been and continues to be the resident expert on this issue for all of us. And this goes to why he is such a treasure because of his years in philanthropy, his years in the corporate sector, and the tremendous influence that he has wielded in that regard. And my parents knew that, my mother in particular knew that, and told my dad, we need to consult with Herman. And so Herman actually came in very early on, before they started the foundation. We're talking within months probably of them winning the lottery. They sat down, Herman came to their home to talk to them about philanthropy and tell them his stories about his struggle and his history in philanthropy and the work that he had done to try to influence philanthropy. And he told them about their options in terms of how to go about their philanthropy, which could be to establish a foundation and really do it all themselves, or do it through a donor-advised fund and work with another entity. And my mother, of course, chose to do it herself through the Castellano Family Foundation, which I think was an incredible decision, which resulted in creating a powerful institution, an entity that she could then lead the vision for. And that vision is very well articulated in the purpose of this award, which recognizing those who deem and pursue diversity, equity, and inclusion, those values and guiding principles certainly have guided my parents in this foundation and in their philanthropy and in their work writ large. And I think that those are the very values that Herman has embodied, and the stories that he told them about his efforts to try to influence philanthropy, to pay more attention to the issues of the BIPOC community, of the Latino community, the Latinx, and the nonprofit sector. And the results speak for themselves. Herman, having served on national boards in philanthropy, national boards in the corporate sector, clearly his advice and words of wisdom were taken up by many others, not just my parents. But I do want to say that over the years, my mom never forgot the role that Herman played in just supporting them and supporting their effort to go out on their own and do this foundation. And Herman, I want to thank you for that. Thank you for giving that a blessing to my parents in their effort to go forward. I think it really meant a lot to my mother in particular, who sought your counsel, but certainly my father has tremendous respect for that too. So thank you for bringing that to your family. Very important, I think, what he did bolstering, their desire to go forward. But then I just want to tell one more piece, because Herman's influence didn't stop there. I'm sure my mom and they would run into him and consult it over the years. But then another very important opportunity came up when the next generation got involved in the foundation, which myself, my sister, and my brother. And working together with Angie Briones, our Director of Strategic Initiatives and Grant Making. Angie, can we please have a hand for Angie? Angie's very much our visionary staff support at the foundation, and we had the idea that we wanted to leverage the incredible investment of my parents, and we needed to do that by listening to our grantees and hearing what their input is and what they felt philanthropy needed to do to better meet their needs. And so after we had these convenings and pooled together the information, what we call the blueprint, which was the blueprint from our grantees about what philanthropy needed to do to be responsive, before we made that document public, we sent it to Herman. And that was, me going to my mom and talked about who do we need to have look at this? What kind of input? And again, it came back, we need to have Herman's input. And Herman, what I really appreciate is that you took the time not only to read our blueprint cover to cover, but to send me a written note with your input and feedback, to get on a phone call and consult with Angie and I about what we want to do. And again, Herman was very encouraging of our efforts, shared with us his wisdom, and I feel just like he gave my mom and dad that blessing to move forward, very much did the same for this generation of our family. And our blueprint is now out there with Herman's blessing and having gotten his input, and we continue to try to use that to influence philanthropy. So Herman, I really just want to thank you so much for all your efforts to support the Castellano Family Foundation, my parents, myself, and my siblings, but most importantly, to thank you for your tremendous contributions in the broader community and to the country for what you have done to advance philanthropy and the issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. On behalf of the Castellano Family Foundation, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much.
Now, I do have the honor, on behalf of the Chicana Latina Foundation's board, staff, and students, Chicana Latina Foundation would like to award the Carmen Castellano Philanthropy Legacy Award to Herman Gallegos. I'm just going to read very briefly a little bit about Herman. I know that we said a lot about him already, but I want you to know a little bit about his life. He provided leadership in a wide variety of community, corporate, and philanthropic affairs, spanning local, national, and international interests. He graduated from California State University of San Jose, earned his Master's in Social Work from UC Berkeley, and in 2002 received a Doctor of Human Letters degree from the University of San Francisco. So we all have our hearts with you, Herman. Thank you. Gallegos was born in a small mining town, Aguilar, Colorado, and moved to San Francisco at an early age. He's a pioneer in civil rights activist in early 1950s, and he was a leader in the formation of the Community Service Organization, a civil rights or advocacy group organized to promote the empowerment and well-being of Latinos in California. So again, the more we know about Herman, we know why he needs to be recognized the way that today with the Carmen Castellano Philanthropy Award. Herman was also one of the first Latinos to serve as a trustee in foundations like the Rockefeller Foundation, the San Francisco Foundation, the Corvello Fund, and the California Endowment. So we have a lot of your followers, Herman. He's also co-founder of the Hispanics in Philanthropy, and over the years, he received the 5 presidential commissions and appointments. Please join me in recognizing Herman Gallegos as the inaugural recipient of the Carmen Castellano Philanthropy Legacy Award.
I asked Carmen, I said, well, Carmen, is there anything you want to ask me? Is there anything we've left out? She said, yeah. She says, how do we get known? I said, Carmen made that first grant. You'll have no problem. And they did come. Well, receiving this inaugural Carmen Castellano Philanthropy Award is an honor. I think you know by now how close a relationship I had with the foundation and Carmen and Alan. And I thank the Chicana Latina Foundation for this recognition. I also think we should acknowledge the fact that for 44 years of dedicated service in promoting professional and leadership development of Latinas, I think we should congratulate the Latino Community Foundation for that achievement. Now, receiving this memorable recognition today in this magnificent building in the Mayfair district, once called Salsipuedes, has significant personal and career meaning for me. It was here in early 1952, several blocks from here on Allen Rock Avenue, that I worked at the Star and Bar gasoline station while struggling to finish my education at San Jose State College. That's what they called it then. At age 22, I was elected the first president and Cesar Chavez first vice president of a newly formed community service organization, organizing, and was said to improve the area and the well-being of the residents by building residents' power, people power to engage in responsible social change. Now, when passing through this area today, I'm just amazed. I see with great satisfaction many physical improvements that weren't there almost 70 years ago. Streetlights, sidewalks, paved streets, parks, and well-tended homes. But less visible are the many persons who did the work then and who came after with the courage to make change happen. To many of us who were involved in community organizing, the training and development of community-based leadership gave us lifelong skills and confidence to pursue change wherever our work would take us. So as my decades of social community activism comes to an end, I feel a great sense of privilege to be here where my career began, here near Salsipuedes, to acknowledge the many friends and colleagues that I engaged with in the process of building community. This was a life-giving experience and the example of what empowerment of community-based leadership can accomplish. And it's an affirmation of the words of Dr. Ernesto Galarza, who said that change has to come from people who are willing to accept the responsibility for change. By the way, I forgot to acknowledge my family members. I know, but you know, I owe them a great debt of thanks, you know, for all their love and support as I was wandering through the wilderness of something called social change. So I don't, it would be irresponsible to forget them, even if I have to cut into my prepared text. So thank you very much. My wife couldn't be here tonight. She's attending to a very sick sister who doesn't look too good. So now I will extend a few brief comments about an unfinished issue facing our Latino community. A challenge to be personally and an issue shared so passionately by Carmen Castellano, and that is the continued intransigence, los intransigentes of foundations, their unwillingness to be more responsive to Latino causes. As a former trustee of 4 preeminent foundations, I have witnessed the generosity of American philanthropy nationally and internationally. I have also learned and observed with considerable dismay that foundations, with some notable exceptions, remain laggards, not leaders, in support of Latinos. Over the past half-century, we documented and have enough evidence to know that relatively little of philanthropy's resources are going to Latinos, whether measured in grants, board representation, staff, or adequate levels of long-term support. Frankly, in the past 50 years, little has changed. Clearly, something's got to give. I believe our strategies and our resources will be better served, not in helping people write better proposals, but focusing on pursuing strong and pragmatic solutions, making foundations more responsive to Latinos. The question is, what will it take to solve this problem? Can foundations be reformed? And if so, what are the best options? A first option is Latino collaboration and negotiation with the Council of Foundations and other third sector intermediaries as the independent sector. Second option is pursuing legislation, using government as a prod to require foundations to truly serve the public interest. But given today's lack of stability and uncertainty in Congress, legislative outcomes could leave us with uncertain reforms we never wished for. But that's not an argument against using government as a prod, but it should be used with caution. Philanthropy itself is not being called into question. I respect the freedom of the philanthropic process very deeply. I believe it's the way trustees and staff operate that make foundations vulnerable to the human part of philanthropy, favoritism, nepotism, unchecked white privilege, elitism. So reform, yeah. A colleague, Dr. Paul Yogasaker, so prophetically said 50 years ago, is worth keeping in mind. He said, philanthropy will not be free or open or accessible or accountable or in touch unless it has those qualities of caring or nurturing and persevering. It is these essential qualities of philanthropy, the spirit of caring, of nurturing, of persevering, that Carmen Castellano embraced, and that makes the Castellano Family Foundation a shining example as the best of what philanthropy is all about. I would add that ideas and perspectives, not money alone, are the most powerful instruments for social action. The challenge to our Latino and Latina leadership, when I use Latino, I'm talking about Latinx leadership and organizations that have evolved over the past 5 decades is, will they be remembered for acting boldly or for being too timid? Okay. Now, there's much more that I could add to the challenge of reforming foundations, but unfortunately, my time today has come to an end. But I leave you with this personal thought. on the occasion of his retirement, serving for 67 years as the broadcast voice of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Vince Scully was asked if he was sad because it's over. Mr. Scully replied, "Don't be sad that it's over. Smile, because it happened. Yes, although my path as a social activist was sometimes rough and bumpy, in the end it was good. So I too can smile because it happened." Thank you.
I think it's fitting to introduce our next speaker, who is an alumna of the Chicana Latina Foundation, Mia Arechiga. She is an alumna from 2016. She graduated from San Jose State University. As you can see, we've been wanting to keep it local and keep honoring, this community that, even though I grew up in Gilroy, San Jose was a part of our center. This is where it was happening. So glad to have Mia here. She graduated from San Jose State, as I mentioned, and is now a nurse and a doula. So please welcome Mia, who's going to offer some of her own words for us today.
Good evening, family, friends, and supporters of CLF and the Castellano Family Foundation. My name is Mia Arechiga, and I'm a CLF alumni, and I'm very honored to be sharing my journey and how CLF has impacted me and supported my journey to becoming a registered nurse. I gave birth at a young age, and it was not the most positive experience that made me want to go to nursing school and be the change that I wanted to see in our healthcare system. So I went back to school, I juggled work, caring for my 2 kids, and trying to maintain a 4.0 GPA to have a competitive nursing application. Friends told me about CLF, and I applied and became a part of the 2016 cohort, like Olga had mentioned. And winning the scholarship made me feel like I could win others. So I applied to several, which completely funded my education, and it allowed me to graduate nursing school without any debt. CLF is unique. It's the only scholarship where I become friends with the fellow recipients. In large part, that has to do with our leadership retreat, and that really gave me an opportunity to connect with other women who were dedicated to empowering the community through their education. The women in my cohort have continued to support me throughout the years. My colleagues helped me edit my transfer admission essay, and they gave me advice on getting into a nursing program. And now I get to be a resource for other aspiring nurses. We continue to encourage each other, inspire each other to aim high and excel together. However, CLF's impact was greater than I'd imagined because the program also had an effect on my daughter. Sorry, I'm Shiona. Every CLF event I attended, I brought along my now 11-year-old daughter, Wutilin. She was 7 when I won the scholarship and got to see her mom recognized for her academic achievements. This is the one event I didn't bring her to. So CLF also offers alumni tickets to attend community events, and I was once given tickets to the Green Lining Institute's Economic Summit. I brought Bitsy to the event, and she got to meet and speak with Dolores Huerta. And then she became friends with CLF's, one of CLF's former executive director, Olga, who shared her stories of activism and resistance with my 11-year-old. There's a proverb that says, when you educate a woman, you educate a family, and in so many ways, CLF, it continues to do that. And I feel so lucky my family gets to be a part of the legacy that CLF created. Okay. Since graduating nursing school in May 2020, I've worked for the county as both an infection control nurse and public health nurse directly responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm currently working at Kaiser San Jose on a telemetry unit where I monitor and care for patients with cardiac conditions as part of Kaiser's new graduate nurse residency program. I volunteer at BMC our county hospital, as a doula, where I provide continuous labor support and childbirth education to laboring women. And my other volunteer role is as a jail monitor at Elmwood Correctional Facility. So my goal is to provide and increase access to care to incarcerated individuals, but especially people that are pregnant, because they have some of the worst childbirth outcomes, giving birth while being incarcerated. For now, I'm equipping my staff with skills and knowledge to be able to intervene in medical emergencies. All these things that I'm able to do now were just a dream when I applied for the scholarship. And I'm grateful for CLF and helping making that dream come true. And I hope that you can feel inclined to donate and make another student's dream come true. Thank you.
See, which means also colibri and hummingbird, just happens to be the symbol, right, of Chicana Latina Foundation of over almost 45 years. And Fernando Zazueta, who's a long-time also leader in the community, said, Olga, come over here, I need to show you something. Thank you. Fernando's here with us. So, I don't know if you know from the entrance, it's all full of hummingbirds. And Fernando had the good thought to bring one of these that he was going to give to Adriana, our executive director, and we will definitely hand this to her as the symbol of Chicana Latina Foundation. Thank you. Thank you so much. Before we close the program, we have a very special guest who is known to be the one that has known Carmen the best, and we're so glad that Mr. Al Castellano has graced us with his presence and has agreed to say a few words on behalf of his dear beloved wife, being named the Carmen Castellano Philanthropy Award today, and passing it on to Herman Gallegos and to Carmen Rojas. So, Al Castellano, please come and join us and do us the honor.
I must say that Carmen was my dream came true when I spent with Carmen, and she said yes to me. That's one of the best things, one of the first best things that happened in my life. Carmen saying to me, yes, and we started living together. Started living together with her, my life just changed completely. I was a real runaround and fun boy that used to have a sports car and had a great life as a bachelor, believe me, I did. And then I gave Carmen my first ride in a sports car, and wow, anyhow, things started to spark. But anyhow, we got married, and lived together for a while, and then we had our children. And having our children, and having our children was the next best thing that happened to me. She, as the kids were growing up, she had great plans for them, and she was such an intellectual. She showed my kids perfect English. Each one of them, we lived in an Anglo neighborhood, and I don't think another kid could speak English as well as my kids did. They went to school, and they came out beautifully. They all came out with good grades, graduated from high school, and she had, my daughter had this dream about them, that they would all go to college. I thought she was a little outlandish about that, but my God, it happened. All three of them went to college, and then when they went to college, they all came out with graduate degrees, all three of them. I was just amazed. And I really owe it to her, because she really was the intellectual of the family, and they caught on to her. And then as life went on, of course we got a home, and look, I'm glad to say we paid it up. And then the third great life thing that happened to me was winning the California lottery. The California lottery at that time was the biggest lottery anybody ever won in the country. And then when I found the ticket and I read the numbers, I was just flabbergasted. I couldn't believe it. I thought I woke up to a dream. I picked up the paper and the paper said, do you have these numbers? And I looked at those numbers and I said, oh, somebody won the lottery nearby. So I took the paper to the living room and I read the paper through before I decided to read the article and the first page. When I started reading the article on the first page, I said, oh my God, the guy that won the lottery bought the ticket the same place I did. When I read that, I said, wow. Then I grabbed my tickets and see what was going on. Anyhow, after I read those tickets and saw that I won the lottery, then I just couldn't believe it. I thought, this is a dream. It just can't be true. I waited, I don't know, I waited about an hour and a half, 2 hours before I decided to wake Carmen up to ask her if these were the right numbers. But before I did that, I thought I'd go for a walk and come back, and if those numbers were still there, I'd wake her up. So I went and I woke her up, and when I woke her up, she thought, she was a little concerned, because a couple of times in our lifetime, I would only wake her up. She liked to sleep, this is a weekend, this Sunday morning, she liked to sleep late. And she was a little concerned because she thought something had happened in the family. Just come to the living room, I got something to, I'm gonna talk to you about something. She came in, and I says, check these numbers, see if they're correct. She says, what? And then she looked at the numbers, what? Lottery tickets? The thing about it is, the tickets that we won the lottery, well, let me go back a little bit. I won 10 tickets a week before the lottery tickets came in, before the big jackpot was there. And then I came home and I told Carmen, I bought $10 worth of lottery tickets. She kind of blew her mind. What's the matter with you spending so much money on lotteries? But then I told her, I'm going to buy 4 more on Saturday. Oh, you're crazy. Anyhow, Saturday morning came by, and I said, I'm going to buy those tickets now. And then she says, Al, I'm going to buy 2 more tickets today. She says, Al, here, get 2 for me. So I took her money, and would you believe all those tickets that I bought the week before, the winner came in those 4 tickets that we bought that morning. So I'm kind of glad that she gave me the money, because $2 that got it were hers, for that matter. But we were all very happy, and we celebrated that morning. I don't want to make the story too long, okay? But these are the important things about where my wife's heart was. So there, we jumped for joy, and we embraced each other, etc., because we won the lottery. So then we started talking about it. So then she sits down. She's sitting over there, and I'm here talking away, and she's taking notes. I said, oh my God, she's taking notes of what I'm saying. She's probably going to write a book about my life. I said, what are you doing, Carmen? What are you doing sitting there? Oh, well, she says, now this is a few minutes after I told her we won the lottery. Oh, well, can you imagine all the people we could help in San Jose because we won this lottery? I said, what's the matter with you? You don't even have the money, you're giving it away already? I said, I'm going to go live in Bermuda. But anyhow, that was over, and then we planned it about how we were going to tell the children, etc., etc. The kids were not living at home anymore, just Carmen and I. Another thing, miraculously, that happened, we didn't tell anybody we won the lottery. We discussed it with the children the following Monday. They came over, and we discussed it with them. And we told them, don't tell anybody. But we started planning out how we were going to turn this money in, how we were going to use it. And we didn't turn our tickets into the lottery till 5 days after, and nobody knew about it. Not everybody. I'd go to the store or go to the restaurant on those days that we had won the lottery, and people were sitting down talking about what's the matter with the lottery winners? How come they don't turn those tickets in? Just kind of curious, like who in the world had won it. And I don't know if anybody knew that. Maybe they had the same impression that somebody won it in Hollister because they read those headlines in the paper that perhaps maybe somebody nearby had won the lottery. But anyhow, that was over, and we turned the ticket in, and about a week or so later, we weren't supposed to get the money for weeks later, but a week later, the people from the California lottery came and bought us our check. It was pretty fast, pretty fast. And I had an argument with the people from the lottery because they wanted to run the publicity of who won the lottery. And we told them, no, we're going to pick our own people for this. And Carmen was very set on that, and we did. And one lady here that really helped me with the lottery was Frances Palacio. She was a real help in helping us go through the process of what to do and when to do it and what have you. She was really great. But we also got a publicity gentleman that helped us, Latinx was his last name, a man that works in Los Angeles, but he happened to be in Hollister that week, and I met him, and we talked to him, and we asked him to help us, and he also helped us. Those two professional people really gave us a hand. Thank you very much to both of you. But anyhow, I won't take much more of your time. The only thing, the outstanding things about Carmen I can tell you is she was a woman with a great vision. And I never met a person like that, she had a vision of talking about things that were going to happen, and so a lot of these things happened. And I was just amazed that she had that vision. One of the greatest things that she did, the family replaced the brother, and then this is a few years after we were married, and she said, Al, I'm going to look and see if I can find my brother. So she started doing that, talking to people that had lost relatives and found them, etc., etc., and she followed their footsteps. It took at least 5 or 6 months, and one day the phone rang. Guess who it was? It was her brother. I don't know how, but I know that she was doing the work of trying to find her brother. And that guy called for some reason. But this is, I don't know, this is some spiritual thing that Carmen had to reach people that way. And it was just amazing. But I don't know what else to tell you. I know that Carmen and we won the lottery, and she formed a foundation with the help of her children. And I had to cancel my life in Bermuda. But it all worked well, because after we found out how much money we had, we were able to travel throughout the world. Mexico, South America, Europe, Cambodia, Vietnam, China. We really just had a great life together, she and I just can't begin to tell you. But again, I want to thank the Chicana Foundation for doing this for us today. My experience with the Chicana Foundation, I'll tell you this. After we had the money for a while, she was associated with the Chicana Foundation, working with them. And then one day she said, Al, I want to make a contribution to the Chicana Foundation. I said, well, go ahead. And I said, whoa, thank you, Al. And then she said, how much are you going to give him? I want to give him $100,000. What? And of course, I knew I had the money, and of course, knowing her, I finally said, of course, go ahead. And she did. But anyhow, she worked with the Chicana Foundation for many years, and then at one time, Carmela and Carmen, they were both working with the Chicana Foundation. It was the first mother and daughter team that ever worked with them, right? So, hey, and they loved it. So it all turned well, and I'm glad the foundation is doing real well. Your foundation is doing well. And I know that our foundation is real well, the way my young siblings are carrying on through with it for us. And I really appreciate the work. And thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Left us, and as Yolanda would say, make a ruckus, right? And you know, let's cause some good trouble. And that's how we continue to honor Carmen, for sure, for her legacy and the example that she left for us. So thank you all very much. And this would not be a good nonprofit event if we didn't ask you to donate. So please, and I know someone asked me, they said they have Rudy said that he has a check from Maria, so who couldn't be with us. So absolutely, please give as much as you can, give stretching beyond your limits, and be like Al when Carmen said, I'm going to give $100,000 to the Chicana Latina. And so, if you can repeat those words and you can do it, absolutely. So, again, thank you so much to all of you for being here with us. We really appreciate it. Viva Chicana Latina Foundation. That's what I have in my notes. You know what, maybe check with it.
Yeah. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'm just taking a bunch. Trying to get all the angles. Okay. Okay, I took a bunch.
Thank you. Lipstick.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Can you sit down?
Yes.
Sorry. Here, if you're kind of behind her hair. Sorry.
Rock star hair right now.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I feel weird.
Thank you.
Exactly. I'm like, we're not the same person. Yeah, somebody.
Maria Fuentes to come to San Jose State from Bakersfield back in the day.
He did, and he also recruited Marco Lopez, Carl Soltero, Jess Hawkins, Bobby Calvillo,